Let's talk about evictions this morning. On very troubling news, we've been talking about the housing crisis. We've been talking about the rental prices skyrocketing. We've talked about the amount that the mortgage, the cost of homes for first-time home buyers is skyrocketing. Yesterday, we talked on the show how 1 in 7 homes is now being snatched up by Wall Street. So the big hedge funds are buying these homes. Well, we got a new report out this morning talking about these evictions. This Goldman Sachs report is just absolutely staggering. The findings from Goldman Sachs say that evictions could hit 750,000 households. It's one of the more comprehensive estimates of what could happen in the absence of this eviction moratorium. Analysts at the investment bank estimate that tenants owe between $12 billion and $17 billion to landlords. Where is the help? Where is the help? 2.5 million to 3.5 million households are behind in rent.
If they would take one day, I bet you that's probably a 1 day of war costs and put it towards that, they could pay everybody's rent.
Yeah. We just seized $9 billion from the Taliban or from the Afghan central bank. We literally just took $9 billion out of the Afghan central bank, and it's frozen in our bank now. What are we going to do with it? Well, the Afghan people are like, hey, we're broke. Where's our money? Right? Okay. We literally can do that, but we can't and we can provide $120 billion a month to Wall Street in the form of stimulus and bailouts, buying up corporate junk bonds and mortgage-backed securities that are all junk that no one wants. We can do that, but we can't help these people, right? Is that what you're telling us?
I mean, think about that. Think if you look at the numbers, all right, look at the numbers we spend on war, look at the numbers like $750 billion a year. To take $17 billion out of that, that's like taking $750 and taking $12 out of it and giving it to somebody. You've still got all that money, and it would it would pay everybody's rent, get everybody caught up. I mean, probably not everybody. There's probably these numbers, who knows where these stats all come from. There's probably people that have fallen through cracks, of course, but you could take care of all of those people for like $12 out of 750.
Yeah.
$20. Let's just say $20. And they refuse to do it.
And by the way, there's $46 billion in federal rental assistance sitting there right now that for whatever reason the states are still screwing with. And there's a huge bottlenecks. I mean, we're still seeing these bottlenecks. Look, what stopped it was state and local governments continue to experience bottlenecks in the delivery of their $46 billion in federal rental assistance. Given the slow pace of rental aid disbursement, Goldman analysts expect that between 1 million and 2 million households will remain without support and at risk of eviction when the remaining state and local eviction bans expires at the end of September. And by the way, Merrick Garland, I mean, let's go. What can you do about this, Merrick Garland? Attorney General, can you step in on this? Democratic lawmakers have called for congressional action because of the Supreme Court's decision to halt the ban late Thursday, the eviction ban. But it's unlikely they'll be able to muster the votes to craft their own eviction moratorium. Attorney General Merrick Garland on Monday warned that the eviction filings would double their pre-pandemic level in the coming weeks. And he urged lawyers to do what they could to help get the people housed. Yeah, lawyers. Get the lawyers out there. Get the lawyers. That's going to be the answer. So these poor people that can't even afford food are going to be able to hire lawyers?
Yeah, that's like there's a bunch of food around and they're like, hey, get the cockroaches. Bring in the cockroaches. All they're going to do is eat the food.
I mean, we know 100% that these people cannot afford lawyers. To hire a lawyer on a retainer for thousands of dollars or even, a few $100s. You think all of these lawyers are going to do pro bono eviction cases? Are you kidding me? Have you ever met a lawyer? This is not America in the 1700s when charging people for law services was illegal. Yeah, back then it was illegal to charge for law services. Not anymore. These people can't afford lawyers. They're going to be out on the street. Thanks, Merrick Garland, for your advice. Go find lawyers. I want lawyers out there. Do what you can do to help these people. Sure.
Amy Perkins said, I read that less than 15% of rental aid has been sent out.
Yeah. I'm surprised it's even that high. The last I saw, it was like 11%.
It probably varies by state.
What's happening? Like, why this money is sitting there? And so, by the way, these landlords, I don't know what is going on with these landlords. I mean, are the landlords themselves so uninformed that they don't know about these programs? I mean, the state bottleneck disbursement of it is awful. I've heard reports, reaching out to different states where it's just been a nightmare trying to get this information from different states. People, or even states are basically saying, we don't know anything about it. Like, oh yeah, you do. There's $20 billion available in your state and you're not even dispersing it. Help these people out. Yeah, I mean, Amy, right here, this morning, here's the latest numbers that I'm seeing. Just over 10% of federal rental assistance funds have been dispersed by the end of July. What are they doing? Now, I just want to say for a second here, imagine if Trump were in office. And imagine if Ben Carson, at the head of Housing and Urban Development Secretary, Ben Carson, sleepy Ben Carson. Like, imagine if, and imagine if, and you had William Barr, at Attorney General, and Ben Carson. Can you imagine how liberals will be flipping out about this? How the mainstream media would be covering this? On Trump's watch, millions are going to lose their homes. Where's the coverage? Liberal press, where's the coverage? Why aren't you critical of this? I mean, and is President Biden, are his hands completely tied in this? I mean, or can he step in any fashion and make a change? Just 6 states in the District of Columbia currently have their own eviction bans in place. Another 10 states have enacted some form of tenant protections as they distribute aid. In states without protections, courts are likely to be flooded with eviction filings in the coming weeks. Is this administration doing a good job of this? What can they do? What are you struggling with? Let me know in the comments. Really, really troubling. And the fact that you're going to have, volunteer. People are saying, hey, volunteer at your local legal aid providers. So here's the solution from Merrick Garland, right? Volunteer with your local legal aid providers or join your law school's clinical program. People are needed right now to provide legal counseling or representation to tenants as they apply for rental assistance. Mediate disputes with landlords or help litigate eviction filings in court. You can make a difference, lawyers. Get out there. Get your lawyers and I don't know. It's
just like how they try to look at Wall Street as that's the litmus test for the whole, the whole country. If Wall Street's doing good, the whole country's doing good. And they're just like, they think that we just have lawyers sitting around too, that we can just be like, oh, let me call my lawyer and we'll get that taken care of. You're talking about people that are fighting for their life to stay in their house where they've got a roof over their head. And now they've got to deal with lawyers that can't fix stuff in the same day. It takes weeks, months to find a good lawyer. I mean, and then to have to put down a retainer and all that other stuff to even secure that lawyer. Like it just makes zero sense. Where if they would have just freaking sent out UBI from the very beginning or unemployment, increase that or whatever, like they did at the very beginning, if they would have just kept that going through this whole damn pandemic, we probably wouldn't be here. But you know what? That's what makes me feel like this is all planned. Because they had to have known this. They know that if they cut out the middle class, right, they don't give us the money, they can help their buddies and everything. And what's going to happen is all these people are going to lose their homes. The landlords are going to lose their properties. And then Wall Street's going to come in and suck them all up. They're going to buy them all at next to nothing.
By the way, we already knew this, right? I mean, I reported this on the show last summer. Do you remember that last summer when I reported that BlackRock was sitting on billions in cash and said, we're ready to go?
Yep.
It was a privately recorded conversation, the CEO of BlackRock, and it was not supposed to get out, and it did, and they were ready to pounce. They are ready to jump on all of these rental homes that are available, or these homes that they're going to turn into rental properties. They're sitting on cash, waiting for this to happen. So when you're sitting there saying nothing makes sense, of course nothing makes sense, but it does make sense. Right, Janine?
To the wealthy.
Nothing makes sense.
Exactly, Judge.
Yeah, it makes sense to the wealthy. It makes sense to them because they're gonna have more real estate. They're gonna have more. What do you call those? The asset.
Oh, write-offs?
No, the asset that you call.
Yeah, performing assets.
Yeah, well, there's another
Cash
word
flowing
you use for. There's another word you use for it, like a store of value.
Store of value. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they're going to have all of these stores of value while the people get nothing. And then what they'll do is they'll increase all the rent and then try to rent them out again to people that, they just try to push. Let's get these people that barely make any money, that take these low paying jobs, the low hanging fruit. Let's get them on the streets and let's get some real tenants in here that have the money, like the California people that are moving out, like really good tenants that can afford $2,000 a month. Screw these people that are paying $800. We just, they bring all this like dirt and trash and everything to these apartment complexes. Let's get those people out.
Yeah, they bring poverty with them. They bring poverty and lower rents. And so we can increase rents 20%. Kick them out and increase rents 20% like we reported yesterday. That's the way to do it.
Yep.
Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.